Hey, it's Derek Hagan, financial therapist specializing in meaning in life and mindfulness, here with another money health conversation where we're going to talk about money and meaning, specifically meaning in life. If there was one thing I could share with the world that would help the majority of people, not everybody, but the majority of people, it would be that life is short and that we are given a golden ticket. And this golden ticket says, you get to exist. You have a life. You get this life, you get to exist. Now, what does it mean to have a life? That's the human condition. There's going to be problems, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be happy times, there's going to be sad times. You know, sometimes life is fun, sometimes life sucks, but it's still your life to live. So if I could help people the most, it would be to help remind them that our time here is short. Because when we look at our life is finite. We float through life, we were born, and eventually we will die. A lot of people don't like hearing that fact. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to distract themselves from this fact. Now, this demonstration, this is about my lifeline, but everybody else has a different lifeline. Right? So recognizing that we don't have unlimited time can be extremely powerful because it helps us live our lives with more intention. It helps us live our lives more authentically. And we can try to do our best to live our lives in such a way that when we look back from our deathbed, we could say, I'd do it again. We don't want to get safely to our grave. We want to get to our grave and say, holy shit, that was a ride. I wish I could do it again. Because for most people, they get to the end of their life and they look back and say, my God, I've mislived. I've mislived in some way. Meaning, at the end of my life, I say, I didn't realize or I didn't pay attention to the fact that I was running out of time. Now that I don't have any time, I wish I would have done things differently. Let's think of it a different way. How many Thanksgivings do you have left? Thanksgiving comes once a year. As I record this, Thanksgiving's about a month away. It happens once a year, so it's reasonable to expect you've got about 80 or 90 Thanksgivings that you get to experience. This is it. This is all your Thanksgivings. Now, how many of those have you already experienced? Right, again, I'm using myself as an example here. So of all the Thanksgivings that you get, you've used some of them. So how many Thanksgivings do you have left? And think about that. How do you spend your Thanksgivings? If you spend your Thanksgivings back and forth between two different families, for example, then the number of Thanksgivings you have left, you can divide that by 2. That's how many Thanksgivings you have with your family and how many Thanksgivings you have with, say, your spouse's family. But it's even more insightful than this because this is just our lifeline. This is how many Thanksgivings we have left, but everybody's different. Every person has a different timeline. Now, this sounds obvious, right? Everybody has born a different birthday and everybody's going to die at a different day. But we don't really think about that. We don't really think about the fact that we all have different journeys that we've been on. Right? So here today, we're all different ages. Again, Captain Obvious stuff. But when you think about, say, in this picture, your grandparents have a longer amount of experience than your kids. That tells us something about what they're going to experience in the world. And that's a sunk cost, though. That stuff in the past, that can't be changed. What we can do something about is the future. How will you spend your time? So if you look at you, that top line, you've got a certain number of Thanksgivings left. You've got a certain number of time left. But look down at your grandparents, assuming you've got your grandparents still alive, or your parents. There are fewer Thanksgivings left with those people. This can change how you think about how you'll use your time. It forces you to think about what's important to you. And when you think about what's important to you, you can think about whether or not you're acting in such a way that will make you authentic. Those things that are important to you, are you living in a way that you'd be happy to say, I've done the things that are important to me? Okay, doing the things that are important to you, right? So the vertical scale here, what's important to you? And then the horizontal scale, are you doing it or not? You want to be in this upper right quadrant, doing the things that are important to you. Alternatively, you want to be in that lower left quadrant, not doing things that are unimportant to you. But if you're really honest with yourself, you have to look for things that are in this upper left quadrant. Am I not doing things that are important to me? Am I not hanging out with my kids even though my kids are important to me, for example? Am I not working on hobbies even though those hobbies are important to me? But it's also insightful to think about, what am I doing that's not important to me? If fame and recognition, if I say that's not important to me, but I'm doing a lot of things to try to gain social media followers, that puts me in this lower right quadrant. So I have two choices. I can either say, I need to stop doing these things because it's not important to me, and I can free up that time to, say, spend with my kids or my hobbies, or I can move to the upper right quadrant and admit that fame and recognition are more important to me. But recognize, shine the light on our own mortality, shine the light on the fact that our time is limited. Your friends, your loved ones, everybody that you know and love, their time is limited too. And that can and should change how you prioritize what's important to you. You get one life. Live intentionally.